NASCAR heads to Las Vegas this weekend, and I am just praying that Ryan Blaney spent all the time he needed to steal Joey Logano's setup, because that motherfucker better not win and make the Final Four. I do not want four-time champion Joey Logano so he can say he played the system and all this bullshit, because he's had another 12th place in the point season. I don't even know where he is in the points this season. I know last year he was like 15th if you counted it full season. But man, Ross Chastain must have just been so nervous Saturday night last week that he didn't sleep, because he made the mistake under caution, not turning in time to come off a pit road, which in the moment I thought he was on the oval for some reason and he was just going to go straight. And then he shifted in the third gear on pit road for some reason on the last green flag stop, and that set them back another 25 seconds. And so if he had just not made those mistakes, he would have made it to the round of 8. I'm not sure why he was so nervous about the Roval. He's always been good on the road courses. He's made it to the Final Four before. So I don't know. He seemed off, and he admitted it. So good on Ross. So hopefully he comes back next year stronger. And good thing next year is the finale will be at Homestead. But in other NASCAR news, who was it? Steve Phelps, I think it was on the Junior Download this week and said we're getting.
I think it was O'Donnell.
Oh, spoiler alert on who the guest is. Yeah, O'Donnell. O'Donnell was on. I get the names mixed up because it's Steve, and it's like, anyway, but O'Donnell was on and said 750 horsepower at all short tracks, and I think it's tracks under 1.5 miles, so like Darlington, and then the road courses too, which will be cool. I think that'll make them have to manage the rear tires a bit more on the road courses. That'll be good for those tracks. And then supposedly they're not sure what they want to do for the format next year. They are going to wait until this season is over because they don't want to detract from the current championship at all. But the rumor is either full season or we're going to go 3-3-4 in the playoffs. I would assume if it's a 3-3-4, which probably seems more likely, just to kind of go into like some weird middle ground, I would assume it would be 12 drivers qualify, they eliminate 3, and then they eliminate another 3, and you got 6 drivers going forward over 4 races. If not, they'll do 12-8-4, and it'll be 4 drivers over 4 races. But I feel like doing 6 drivers would be a good number for that kind of little stretch. Alternatively, I kind of wouldn't mind them just going back to a 10-race chase. I would not mind them just go back to a 10-race chase. Do something silly, I guess. Maybe do top 10 in points, make it, and then do any winners from 11th to 25th. Just any winners. Like, so you could have 13 guys, you could have 16 guys. Fuck it, you could have 20 guys. Like, who cares? If you win and you're 11th to 25th, screw it. I say you should be in the chase. But anyways, this is Who's That Driver, episode 24. I don't remember who our guest's favorite driver was growing up. We'll get to that here in a minute. But I'm just praying it's not a Jeff Gordon fan, because we have had so many Jeff Gordon fans on the show. Anyways, it's the man himself, Nick Guenther. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Zach, how are we doing today? And thankfully, you don't have to interview a Jeff Gordon fan this time. It's somebody else.
Thank goodness. Yeah, we've had so many. It seems like every other episode is a Gordon fan. There was a stretch, I feel like, where it was Gordon fan, Gordon fan, Gordon fan. We had Jack Merkel on. I knew, obviously, he was a Gordon fan. Dylan Young was a Gordon fan. I mean, there have just been so many Gordon fans on the show. But, hey, he was popular in the early 2000s when a lot of us grew up. So, I mean, I guess it's to be expected.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, I like to tend things more that are underappreciated. So growing up, was a Bobby Hamilton fan. So
All
Bobby
right.
Hamilton Sr. So I love his little trucks. Of course, his number 4 truck always seemed to really impress me so much. Of course, that's where I got my 55 number was from Bobby Hamilton Sr.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking to myself, I was like, man, I haven't raced against Nick really at all, I don't think, this year. So I actually went to my photo archive from the season two, I think it was NNSCRA Nex-Gen Championship, and I have a photo of you and me in victory lane. I had won the championship, you had won the race, and you were driving your 55 Square D. I think it's a Toyota in that at that time. So
I think it was a
that'll
Toyota.
yeah, that'll be the thumbnail for this episode is you and me in victory lane, and I'm running the my V8 supercar inspired scheme that I had Seth do back then. That was 3 years ago, if you can believe it.
Yeah, you were almost untouchable that season. No matter what I could have done, it's like there's always something that happens to go wrong.
Yeah, there were a few races where you got lucky though, like there was that Laguna Seca dirt race, where
Oh,
um
don't even get me started on that
oh, well,
race.
that race has
That's
infamous for different reasons, but yes, you were able to get the win in that one. I got involved in something that gave me engine damage and just really was killing me off of every corner, but it was a fun track, regardless of the infamous moment that happened in that race.
that almost made me quit NR as a whole.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyways, moving on. So, to go into you further, um, so obviously you've said you were a Bobby Hamilton fan. What made you a Bobby Hamilton fan?
So I started watching NASCAR when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and the thing that I was like, one day I saw my dad downstairs at his house. He was playing at the time of the new NASCAR game, NASCAR Thunder 2003 at the time. I just walked down. I was like, "Oh, do you want to go play?" I'm like okay. I was surprisingly competent at video games for a 3 or 4 year old at the time. I just happened to scroll through like the cars and see which one I kind of like best, and I kind of like that black and green like Square D car. I was like, "Ooh, that piqued my interest at the time." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I chose Bobby Hamilton then, and I know I'm going a bit sidetracking here. There's just another reason why my number is 55. Is when I played Gran Turismo 3 for the first time. I always get beaten by this orange and green Le Mans prototype car. I didn't even know what it was called. It just said 787B. It didn't even say the manufacturer. I just hear that every time I hear that engine noise, I knew I was in for hell playing in arcade mode against that car, because I was driving a Chevrolet Corvette C5R at the time, which was a Grand Touring Corvette, of course. And I know I'm kind of all over the place, but ever since then, I kind of did more research on like what the car was about and what number it was. Like, they both have the same number, being Bobby Hamilton 55, and the car number of this race car is 55. So, yep, that's my number.
Yeah, I remember you would run that scheme a lot too. You would run the Mazda, the orange green scheme a lot if you weren't running the Square D scheme.
I need to run that again. I have not run that paint scheme in like I think a year and a half now. I need to run that somewhere.
Right on. So would you say NASCAR is your favorite, or do you think maybe, I don't know if you watched sports car too much or not because of the Mazda?
Unfortunately, with Mazda not being a part of IMSA or anything part prototype racing anymore, I mean, I'm just gonna go with NASCAR, I think.
Right on. Who would you say your favorite is now? Because obviously well, actually, how has it evolved over the years? Because obviously, unfortunately, Bobby Hamilton Sr. passed away there in the mid 2000s. So how has your favorite driver evolved since then?
Well, if it weren't for Bobby, I think at the time I was kind of at a loss for who I wanted as a driver. I think at one point I was a Hamlin fan. At one point I was a Jimmy Johnson fan. At one point, before he had that infamous 5 title run, anyway. I believe at one point I was a Dale Jr. fan. Yes, I was one of those guys for a little while, because I don't know. I
Same.
needed I needed somebody to like really root for, I would say. And then eventually it became Matt DiBenedetto, which of
Oh
course I've
yes,
had
of
a
course.
personal thing. Yeah, of course. DiBenedetto, I've been a part since his Bristol run, and not the 2019 one, but when he was driving the Cosmo 8 Motorsports number 83 for BK, Have It Your Way Racing. Yeah, he had some great runs in like underdog equipment, like all the time. I was like, yeah, that's a man who really knows how to work with like bad equipment each time. And of course, I followed him through like even through like the Go Fast era, where he had just multiple top tens here and there in a car that should not be in a top 10. Then of course he got to Levine, and well, I remember that in Bristol in 2019 race
Oh
like
yeah.
it's yesterday, and I still feel pain to this day. God damn you, Newman. Um, and then of course the most frustrating time of being a De Benedetto fan was, of course, when he was in the 21 car. And the main problem I had with that is because we had a crew chief known as Greg Irwin. He sucked absolutely so much. Like, yeah, he's responsible for having multiple top 5 finishes, but that's just because that Matt just knows how to put himself there. It's not because the car is good, because the car would just fall off after like 5-10 laps, no matter what we did. Like those chassis that the Wood Brothers had at the time, they were like 10, 12-year-old Penske chassis, so obviously they're gonna suck. Um, but then afterwards, when we tried to get into the playoffs the second time, we had Jonathan Hassler, but it was just like too late. They changed the crew chiefs way too late, and he was improving a lot. De Benedetto was improving a lot. He went from like a 20th place car to like, I would say, a 15th or 13th place car like each week. So there was some improvements there. But then it just punches you in the face that you have now. I mean, do you want to call it Harrison Burton winning because he got pushed by the wrong car? Um, and of course, Josh Berry is, they actually finally give somebody competent in the Wood Brothers team to make a car work for Josh Berry, which he won in Las Vegas. I mean, my anger towards the Wood Brothers have been over since Harrison Burton has left the team. So at least I know that Wood Brothers are actually in good hands now with Josh Berry. I think so.
Yeah, I think he's a good fit for the team. He had to work his way up through the ladder. He got lucky break with Junior Motorsports. And I think he's a great fit for Wood Brothers. So I hope, he can stay there as long as he wants to stay there. And, obviously
I always
it's more of a fourth Penske car right now, but I don't know if Barry would really go anywhere else unless if he were to stay in the Ford pipeline. I would say if like Logano randomly retired or some reason, then maybe that would be the way Barry would get promoted, because right now Ford has like nobody in the dev pipeline. Like they have no dev team in trucks. You can't really count Thor Sport because they flip back and forth between Ford and Toyota every year, it feels like. And now they have with Haas moving to Chevy, they're currently looking at only having Ryan Sieg Racing, which that's literally Ryan Sieg, Kyle Sieg, and then I think they have a third car part-time, but there's been nobody consistent in that. I heard a rumor that AM Racing has been sold to a team in the series, but it's unknown whether that team will keep their current manufacturer or switch to Ford. So we'll have to see how that plays
I
out.
thought
But that
AM was
is,
already Ford though.
well, AM is Ford, but they got bought. So the
Oh,
the,
okay.
the, the uncertainty is, did this team buy AM to expand to become the new Ford team, or are they going to stay with who they're with? I don't want to give away their manufacturer because it's supposedly it's like going to happen, but it's not like announced yet. But so that's why Harrison Burton announced that he's leaving AM, because they sold. That's the reason.
Oh, I thought it was just because Harrison had like a brand new opportunity or so, like
Well,
somewhere.
as yeah, he could be going somewhere new, or he could be going to the team that is buying AM. That could be why he's leaving AM technically, because they sold. That, it's not announced yet, but that's what's going around the garage from what I've heard. I have like a few people I talk to like that, like they hear stuff and whatnot. So those are the rumors right now. Also, I think Viking, which the Benedetto drives for, I think that's a Ford outfit too. Or no, that's a Chevy outfit actually. Never mind.
Yeah,
They're
it is a
they're
Chevrolet.
Chevys, because
We did we I hate to cut you off. We did run Fords, but alongside the Sieg team,
right.
and we
This
were
year
running
they
that
went
third
Chevy.
third
Yeah.
team. Yeah, and they were a standalone team. And I will say this now: it has been frustrating to watch as a fan of the Benedetto. It's been a real frustrating thing, especially since I'm a part of the official fan page of Matt Benedetto. It's known as the Guido Nation on Facebook. Check him out. Uh, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm like not one of the more nicer members of the page because it's just been frustrating to watch, just to see these guys like struggle so much. It seems like week in and week out, there's always something different that's going on. I mean, we have a great spotter. We have Austin Cindric spotter. We have Doug. We have Austin Cindric spotter. So we have somebody that we can trust, and we have a former Kurt Busch crew chief, Pat Trison. So
Okay.
I expected a little bit better this whole team, but I understand though that they are a standalone team. There is no alliances on that team like so many people have thought of initially, and I was a little annoyed the fact that we have not gotten alliance because we are just struggling out there each and every week. Like, yeah, we have this team has RCR cars, but they also have the cars that they ran last year. So it just feels like a coin toss to see which car is good, which car is not. And even then, we probably got RCR cars that probably are like 20 years old or so that they just don't want anymore at the shop. So it's just again frustrating to witness to see this team like struggle each week. And I keep telling everybody in that little group, in order to succeed, we need to have an alliance.
Yeah.
But we actually have the actual team motor on that Facebook page. So I'm not going to disclose what he says here.
Yeah. So it's cool that you're like a De Benedetto fan. I had actually kind of forgotten that about you because there's a guy in the NR community. His name's Herman Reese. You might have heard the name over the years. He does open setup racing at Hobo. And Herman actually works for Viking Motorsports and gets to talk to De Benedetto, like on the daily. So that's a little cool little tie in there between you being a fan and I know another guy who races at Hobo because I've been doing the commentary stuff with Andrew Miller at Hobo, so I've been getting to talk to Herman throughout the year, and he talks about what they do at the shop. They'll watch the Hobo races while they're working in the shop and stuff. But yeah, they're a small group of guys there at that shop. Like you said, it's a single car team, no alliances, and they're doing the best with what they got.
And I know they're trying their best. But again, as a fan for a pretty long time, Matt's getting old. I'm not saying he's like Harry Gant old or anything like that, but he's getting up there in age. He doesn't have a whole lot of time left to have like a championship caliber season, if any at all, to get like any sort of thing out there. So I'm hoping like they get like some sort of alliance. So I understand it's a long-term project with this team. Like I'm hoping like I'm sure De Benedetto's coming next year. I think it's already been discussed. I think
Yeah,
there
I
was a
believe
multi-year contract with this team.
Yeah, I believe that's been confirmed. Yeah, so De
So
Benedetto is 34 years old. I've noticed with drivers, they tend to run in the top 3 series anywhere from 20 to 25 years between all 3. So I would say Dibby's got another 11 in him. But yeah, competitively wise, you could say like he's got until he's maybe 40, 41. But
yeah,
obviously it can all depend on equipment too. I mean, when you look at Justin Allgaier, let's see, how old is Justin Allgaier? And he's been flirting with retirement. Allgaier is actually 39. So I thought he was
he's
a
about
little
like
older than
5 years older. hmm I thought he was a little older than that. I thought Allgaier was a little older than that myself, but well, he's been with like Dale Jr. since a hell of a long time, really. At that
Right.
point, anyway. But of course, JR Motorsports, as we know, has been the greatest Xfinity team of all time as of this year.
Oh yes, yeah. It's going to be hard to kick them off that throne. You might have Gibbs in there, but it's really going to be hard to kick them off that throne. So
Yeah, and you got like the other top competitive teams. You want to say like there's only I think like 3 or 4 competitive
it's
Xfinity teams
Junior,
anyway,
Haas, and Gibbs. I think that's it.
and not usually the other years, but not this year is Colleague.
Yeah,
Colleague used to be
Colleague's been down
good.
this year. Yeah, they.
Colleague as a whole has been down. Like the Cup Series has been down. Like you got Allmendinger who has like great runs every now and then, but overall they just been kind of lackluster
Yeah, I
for their
feel
standard.
like AJ really pulled a lot of weight at Colleague when he was running their Xfinity cars, but even the last year he was full time, like they were definitely they were missing something. So I think with the whole truck team thing that's happening, I think Colleague is probably going to become like the number 1 team for Dodge, and I think
I think they are.
I think you'll see them switch to Dodge for 2027 for Cup and Xfinity.
I can't wait for Dodge to come back to NASCAR. I can't wait for the Ram trucks to come back. I always love Dodge Rams.
Oh, yes, same.
I'm a Chevy guy for like other cars, but when it comes to trucks, I'll gladly take a Dodge Ram. Thank you.
Yeah, same with me. I love the Rams, but they are pricey as hell, so I can't afford
Yeah,
one.
the new ones today are pretty high up there in price. That's why you got to get yourself a used truck.
Yeah. Okay, so moving away from real life racing, let's get into sim racing. So obviously, as you've said, and I've known you for a long time. Your roots kind of started in Gran Turismo, so I'm gonna skip past that a little bit. You can tie it in here and there. But how did you discover NR 2003?
So I discovered NR 2003 after I was having a very rough stint at the time with iRacing. Um, it was a person I've met in my Gran Turismo ties with Jessica Shelton. Her and I have been kind of like friends and besties in a way for a little while. Anyway, we were kind of like really good friends there. Then I guess like it's hard to date back. Like, going back like 10 years now since I've done this sort of thing, and my autistic brain at the time wasn't fully developed compared to now. So I might have be a little hazy in some areas there. She brought me into this online racing league known as the NNSCRA Icebreakers Online Series Light Series. And of course, I got my whole wheel set up, and at the time with Driving Force GT, that was still good. I have a different wheel now, unfortunately, so the whole Driving Force GT era is over. But I started with the Driving Force GT on NR 2003, of course, and had a race at Daytona. That was my first race because they had a brand new season. We had myself, of course, Jess. I think at the time we had Shane Sides is there as well. I believe we had Joshua Collar. That's a name I haven't heard of in a long
Oh
time. That
yeah,
also used to
Collard.
race. Um, oh my goodness, I really don't remember really anybody else in that one race, but I just know it came down to me and Jessica at the very end. So I figured I was like, yep, this is literally just a repeat of like all the Gran Turismo leagues we did. It was always us two at Daytona 1 and 2.
Do you remember
Except this
the
time
number
she's
and
the one
mod?
pushing me. So okay, I think it was the 2011 Xfinity mod. It was either the 2011 or 2013 Xfinity Series mod. I think at the time I forget what the name exactly it is. I was running a number 18 at the time because I didn't really have a number or paint scheme made up. I just chose a number and that was it. So I
Yeah,
figured like, okay, it's GameStop, so I'll just take that.
nice.
Um, then she was running behind me with that Aaron Crocker number 98. It was
Oh yeah,
she was just pushing me the entirety of the time of that last lap, and I ended up winning on my very first start in
there you go.
in NR. That was my first ever NR win. Was 10 years ago at Daytona, and I would have continued to have a long depth stretch of like not being able to win at Daytona at that point forward for a long time anyway. Then we have it was our second race at Kansas between her and I. This time it was her that won. I came in second, so it was literally just us two trading blows. Eventually, we came to the final race at Auto Club, where again we finished 1-2, but I ended up losing the championship to her.
Do you remember what year this was?
This had to be from like 2015 to I think it transferred over to 2016. I don't remember when the
Okay.
season ended, but that is where I actually first met like Seth and the gang too. Was around there, but I wasn't like as close with them as I am now, of course, because I'm actually in the team speak almost every night now with them. So we just putz around, trade shots at each other, whether it's like all the guys that are in there or not. But yeah, over the years, I became a huge part of the NSCRA as a whole.
Right on. Yeah, I remember when I used to be in there like all the time back then, 2015, 2016. Um, yeah, I mean it was good times back then. I remember I would run the icebreakers all the time. I would run there was a Net Zero IROC thing that Jessica ran. James had like an online league that was brief. I remember we ran I think the Aero 88 cars or the Cup 90 cars or something. But yeah, there were a lot of leagues, or a lot of series, I guess you should say, in NNSCRA back then. There was I don't know if you remember, Carter Friesen had a league at one point. That was I think 2017 ish. Yeah, yeah. I used to hang out in that group with y'all a lot more. I sporadically will go in there now, but there's just so many different like groups you can like hang out with. But it's like you start to forget like certain things about certain people if you like spend too much time away. So it's like hard to go back and really like, but you still like understand people and stuff like that.
Of course.
So okay, you answered a bunch of questions there, which was good. What would you say was one thing you struggled with when you started out on an R?
I guess like you could say I just wanted to get my steering ratios and my degrees of rotation correctly because I don't remember what I had my degrees of rotation at the time. I think it was at 300. I was like understeering the car so much, but then I was told that like mainly the one thing you could try to do is just lower the degrees of rotation. And I set it to 270 at one point, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect for me. This is absolutely perfect. And I still didn't win a lot until like a few years later. I was still mainly struggling. I guess you could say also as well. I had stability and traction control at the time because I was brand new to the Sims. I didn't know how it worked then. But of course, over time, I just turned both of them off, and I was like maybe like think like 4 tenths faster a lap at that point forward. I was like, yeah, this is perfect for me now too. I understand like how this game handles and what's the whole thing about the weight transfer and all that stuff. It felt great. I was able to and I was ever since then I was able to start winning like more and more in like other series.
Right, yeah. With practice, you get better, or you just don't got it. But obviously, like you said, you had been playing racing games from a young age, even if that was on controller and stuff. Like I was the same way. I was playing a ton of racing games growing up, so you kind of just, you different game is requires different set of skills, and you kind of just figure it out when you've been playing all kinds of different racing games for so long. So
Yeah, I mean I'm great at racing games, but when it comes to like shooter games like Fortnite, I'm probably not exactly the greatest person in the world. Or like
me
Super Smash
neither.
Brothers, I'm not great either. But I think I'm okay with both.
Yeah, those kind of games require like different finger movements and stuff like that. Like we're used to as racers, you put your hand on the controller and you're not going to really press too many different buttons because you're just worried about the joystick, the throttle, and the brake. When it comes to other games, there was always a lot more movement to worry about. So like, I think the best I ever really did on a handheld was like maybe like the Game Boy and the DS when it came to like the Metroid games, but that was pretty much it for me in terms of non racing. I did okay with football and baseball games too, because baseball was pretty easy back in the day. Like you pressed the button to throw it, you held it, whatever, and then and like you pressed the button to swing. But then like I remember it got to a point where like 2K in the show you had to like move the analog stick back and then throw it forward or vice versa, and I could never figure that out. I was like, I just want to press the button and have the batter swing the bat. Like I don't want to have to worry about the joystick and being more immersive and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, you definitely need to have a different dexterity of skills, definitely for sure.
oh yeah, all the hand-eye coordination a little different, but you know, we excel with what we excel with, and other people excel in that stuff. So, your preferred number, I know you always liked running 55, but I know there was a time where you also liked to run the 7, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, you are correct as well. I guess I didn't have my full like thing of what I became to 55 for like a while ago. I used to run the 7 mainly because of Alan Kowicki. That was
Okay.
that was kind of like my dad and I's like underdog driver anyway. He would like nonstop talk about like Alan Kowicki, and of course I like Kowicki too. He's been probably like the greatest underdog of all time, I would say, in terms of like what he had, especially what he could have done too. I mean, Kowicki should have probably had a deal with Junior Johnson at the time, but he turned it down. I think it was. I think that's how the story went. But yeah, Kowicki just always ran to 7. I always seemed like that just seemed like a lucky number to me. So I just ran the Kowicki 7 for like a few years until before I became my actual persona that I am now.
Yeah, I think back in the late '80s and then the '90s, that was a time where like you had a lot of different drivers. They would have their own teams in Bush, and then they would either sign on a team or they would potentially bring that team up when they went to Cup. Um, Kowicki obviously had his own team the whole time he was alive. Unfortunate he passed away in that accident, but I don't know how much he inspired other guys to start their own teams or not, but you did have Darrell Waltrip left Hendrick to start his own team there, and I think it was 91, 90, something like that. And then obviously later, Bill Elliott left Junior Johnson's team to start his own team. And that, unfortunately did not pan out because I think they were starting to get to the point where the teams that had been around for a while were starting to get dominant and stuff like that, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like obviously you had teams. Richard Childress Racing emerged as a front runner. Roush, Hendrick, Gibbs obviously was starting to get better and start to expand there in the early 2000s. So like being a driver owner kind of started to fade really quick. Like it was good in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, and then it slowly started to fade of like how you could really like do that on your own. So obviously we've seen some stuff work here in the modern day where like Tony Stewart did a co-owned thing with Haas that worked out great for Tony. He got his one championship, and then Harvick, of course, got a championship. And then
You should have been two. You should have been another.
yeah, and then Brad has tried with RFK, which I got another rumor for you.
Oh,
There's
what do you got?
there's word on the street that Brad um might want to own his team on his own and not through the RFK group, because I have heard that Jack Roush is very stuck in his ways and doesn't like, even though you don't really see him at the track, he's very much involved at the shop, and he doesn't want to like change some of the ways he does things, and I guess it's really holding that team back. And if there wasn't this whole lawsuit thing, we could have had an article by now that said Brad Keselowski leaving ownership group to start own team with Dodge or something like that. That's the rumor, is Brad would want to field Dodges. So
That'd be a throwback.
there's like a rumor. I feel like his numbers would be 29 and 92, because I'm pretty sure both of those are available in Cup.
I believe so as of now. I mean, RCR's not running the 29 anymore, so I figured why not just bring the 29 back, I guess, with Brad Keselowski. That was like, I think 92 was based on his brother,
Yeah.
Brian Keselowski.
Yep.
So I would say like those two numbers would be available, because you can't have the 19, you can't have like the 9 or anything like that right now, because
Yeah.
that's owned by their own teams. So yeah, I think 29 and 92 would work just fine.
Yeah, I think he would run the 29, and I think they would put someone in the 92.
Put Brian in there.
Yeah, Brian's probably what, like 50 something now. I don't know, but I don't know how much older he is than Brad. But yeah, that's another
Like,
big rumor I've heard floating around the last month or two. But because of the lawsuit stuff, like it's like there's no way to buy a charter right now because there's so much like up in the air with the whole lawsuit.
our system's just dumb. I just think it's kind of silly. That's all.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's just
agree.
causing more too much drama than it needed to be, and it's all because like Hamlin and Front Row Motorsports are trying to take a stand against like what the hell NASCAR is doing, and I agree NASCAR is doing some sketchy stuff right now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't understand like the legalness of
Me
it all.
neither.
I know that like I see stuff that it's like NASCAR says they're not a monopoly, but then they go and say something that makes them sound like a monopoly, and then it's like oh, like Denny and Jordan are right to fight for this, but then at the same time it's like, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like what are they trying to get? So there's like sides on each side. There are things I agree with and then things I don't agree with, and it's just like, yeah, this is dumb. And then they say, oh, we want to settle, but no, we don't want to settle this. So it's like, what, like, and then just when you think like the court has decided like, yeah, this is done and this is done, and then they appeal and they appeal and then they get a new judge, and then they appeal and then they get this way, and it's like, oh my god, like let it end.
I don't think it will end for at least like another year or so. The way this has been going on, it's just crazy that everything's been going like this.
I think
But I do believe that Brett. All right, you go ahead first.
I think NASCAR, since the agreement was not signed and the injunction was declined, so now they're operating as open teams, and NASCAR has just decided, yeah, like we won't sell the charters for now because we want to see if we can settle. I think if it seems like they can't find anything by the trial date, I think they should just sell the bloody things,
Yep, I agree.
because now 2311 is not doing it for the betterment of the sport. They are holding people back from getting into the sport. Them and Front Row, but mostly you just hear about 2311. I feel like Bob Jenkins and Front Row, they've been pretty quiet. But like
Yeah.
Danny and Jordan have been constant, like in the media. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how Front Row really feels about it anymore, but I would like to know if Front Row might think, well, we've sucked this year and we should probably be running this charter teams to see if we can get better. what if front row backs out and then it's just 23-11 against NASCAR? Like, that would be a big shift.
I mean, it'll definitely be a big shift, as seeing how it's like, I mean, both their cars are out of the playoffs now. I mean, like, you just go from I can't even explain it because again, this whole show is just filled with shit. It's this whole shit show going on over there with the whole legal dispute that's going on right now. I can't even describe it to you how silly this is.
Yeah. But you were going to say something about Brad.
Yeah, I mean, Brad is going. It's like Brad's just trying to move two steps forward with the team, and there are instances where his team is done great. Mainly, of course, they have a superstar driver with Chris Buescher. I think he's a good superstar driver, and you got like a really another good driver in the form of Ryan Preece as well. And of course, you got the captain himself, Brad Keselowski. I mean, you have a really solid lineup enough as it is. But I feel like as you said, I think there might be something that's just holding the team back to go even further. Because I think the team can go further. They become like the second best Ford team. They want to move forward, but I feel like someone is just holding them back.
Yeah, someone. The same reason they fell off in the 2010s. They just don't evolve and adapt. They always had one way of doing it, and it worked in the 90s. It worked in the early 2000s, and then eventually it just didn't work anymore. So,
Definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
yep. Well, so let's move back to you. So you said the Driving Force GT is dead. What are you using for wheel and pedals now?
I am using, let's see here. I gotta move my wheel over here. A Thrustmaster T300, a T300, yeah, T300 like RS. I could plug this in and make it into a PlayStation wheel if I really wanted to on my PS5, but I never really use my wheel for like console gaming. I always use it for like PC gaming anyway. It's been great. I've tried a G29, but for some reason they made the brake pedal like super duper stiff, and I'm just not
Yep.
used to that feeling. So I had to just get myself that has like even pressure settings. Like I want to have to feel the same amount of pressure with the gas pedal and the brake pedal because I just kept either locking up or just not or just under braking the entire time when I was driving the G29. I was like, I can't handle this. Like the wheel felt great, but the pedals they just weren't good on the brake pedal. The gas pedal and the clutch are great. The brake pedal, they just made it super duper stiff. I'm like, I'm not used to that. So I tried to like replacing the spring. It really didn't help. What I probably should have done in hindsight is order a gas pedal spring and just use that as the brake pedal and
Mm.
just put that inside the brake pedal. It'll be fine. Like I probably should not have gotten the T300 because I have I have a lot of success with this new wheel, but I feel like sometimes I'm just not as comfortable still as I am with the Driving Force GT yet.
Yeah, the Thrustmaster is a little different on NR than I think the Logitech because I think it's correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Thrustmaster is belt driven, Logitech is gear driven. Um, I
I believe so.
I used the G29 for years with the Logitech pedals, but I always used the clutch as my brake because, as you said, the brake itself is a brick and sucks. So I never used it. I just used the clutch. Unfortunately, you know, eventually got to a point where just going through potentiometer, yada yada yada. So I decided I had heard the Thrustmaster TLCM load cell pedals, with the brake has a load cell. Those were on sale somewhere for like $150, so I got them. And I've been using those, and like, yeah, the brake pedal is stiff, but like even with the softest spring combo, it's stiff. But like you can adjust the brake force and the profiler and stuff, and you find like a comfort zone where like you can put down as much pressure as you can. And then once you get used to it, dude, you are a couple tenths faster. Like I have so much, like they were joking on Door Bump Clear this week that, oh yeah, the one difference between SVG and the rest of the field is he has traction control. The traction control being his feet. And it's like, yeah, like that's how I feel now with the TLCMs. Like I have found like a great balance in my muscle memory to apply to the brakes to trail brake correctly on the road courses. And I just like I have so much more control over how my car goes into a corner. And the throttle, even though the throttle is just still like your typical potentiometer, you can add like dead zone, so you don't have to worry about it like fritzing out. And the throttle itself is a stiffer throttle, so you have better throttle control with these pedals than you would even the Logitech pedals. So I've really enjoyed these pedals. I've had them now, let's say February next year will be 3 years, and they've just been great. So they're a little pricey, but they are like, they are great for their price value, I would say.
With that being said, you would almost sound like you would rather have a stiffer gas pedal than a brake pedal, really. If by that logic, then just like a little bit stiffer on the throttle, so you would have like more. You would have to put like more of your foot into the throttle there to give yourself more throttle control. It gives you that more muscle memory. Like the pedals I have here, obviously the throttle is pretty easy to press down. I'm pressing it right now. The gas pedal is easy to press, and the brake pedal, yeah, I guess you could say it is a little stiff on the brake pedal side, but it's not like overbearing like the Logitech ones I've had.
Yeah, the TLCM throttle, it's a bigger throttle than the Logitech throttle, and like I said, it's got a little stiffer spring to it, so you can throttle control a lot easier. It's funny, when I first got these pedals, the first race I did with them was a road course, and then I adjusted settings, and then the next race I did was just a super speedway, which was like, really, I'm not using the brake obviously because it's an SS, but like keeping my foot to the floor when I was leading the pack, my ankle was getting tired because I was like, wow, like this throttle is like got so much more, not like a crazy amount of resistance like the brake does, but it had more resistance than the Logitech throttle has to
Like
like,
you have more weight on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was more weight kicking back at me from the throttle. So it's like, man, I'm like, my ankle's getting tired just sitting on this pedal. Like, it was a little annoying at first, but then you get used to it and you're fine. But yeah, I can't
Yeah,
recommend
you're,
the
st- you're
teal.
still
Yeah.
you're just putting so much like weight on your right leg, it could transfer it over to your feet, and you'd have to hold on to it for such a long period of time. So it feels like a workout.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was just like a very small amount of like, man, my ankle's getting tired. That's funny. Um, yeah, I can't recommend the TLCMs enough. I'm assuming you just have the stock pedals that came with the T300. But
Yeah, I do.
yeah, these are, if you have, you know, Christmas time or whatever, if you want to like get yourself something, I recommend looking into the TLCMs. I think they're like 200, 250 now. They're pricier than they were a few years ago, but if they're on sale somewhere, like check them out because
Yeah, because they're high in demand, probably.
yeah, they take a minute to, it takes a few months to get used to the brake, but once you get used to it, you are going to be flying that extra bit, and you have that little extra bit of control. They're definitely a game changer for sure. But yeah, I use them with the G29. So like you just plug it into a USB separately from the G29 wheel. So as long as you have enough USB slots, you're good to go.
Ooh, I probably don't.
Damn. Well,
I don't know if I can.
if you have the TLCMs, if you're well, you already have a Thrustmaster wheel. So if you just kept your Thrustmaster wheel, you just switch your pedals out, I think, and you'd be fine.
I mean, the pedals I have, they have. Hold on here. It's not a USB, but it looks like a RJ11 type cable. I kind of know my cables because I work in IT somewhat. Um, I mean, they have this it looks like an Ethernet cable, but it's not an Ethernet cable. It's a like a very smaller like Ethernet cable. It's called an RJ11. Like I would plug this in the back of my wheel because my wheel has a RJ11 port on the back. So I'm just assuming maybe I think the TLCM would have that, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I would think
Or is it an
so.
actual or is it an actual like USB port that's
I
like you
don't.
just plug into your computer?
I don't know. It comes with both. It comes with the USB and it comes with the one you're talking about. I think. I don't know because like I said, I have the Logitech wheel, so I have to just plug it in via USB.
Okay.
Um.
That part makes sense at least.
Yeah. Did you come up with your own wheel settings or did you try something someone else recommended?
Um, well, I think I just had everything kind of like default on the wheel, I would say, except for like having like I had to change the steering degrees of rotation to 270. Whether if I'm playing F1, so every now and then with RJ, I would set it to 360, but I would have to change it from 270 to 360 depending on the sim I play.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about like in-game linearity? Do you remember what you have that set to offhand?
Oh, no, I don't. I think it's 100% steering linearity on NR. I don't know. I had to look. I had to go into the game and find out.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to check if you can't. Um, yeah, I feel like linearity is very important because if you have it too high for too low a degree of rotations, you'll just shred your tires a little more than you want to. So turning the linearity down helps smooth out the wheel input, and I think that's like another big key to being successful. But there are guys that have run 100% linearity with their rotation like down 200 or whatever, and then they just run, they run like either 32-to-1 ratio or something like that to like help delay and smooth out the input. But everyone's found something to make it work. Like it's like I said, it like I feel like certain things help you better, but if you want to like run against the grain a little and like make it work a different way, like I think you can.
It's just the flexibility of like everyone's driving style though too.
Yeah. Well, like not yeah. So like my settings might not work for someone else, but someone else's settings might, or then like people find their own little thing.
Yes. Everyone's different, of course. So everyone has their own little success and they have a different way of finding said success.
Yep.
It's just like life in general, really.
Right. Let's get into some fun questions. Who was the first person you butted heads with?
Ooh, that is a good question. Honestly, I really don't know who. Don't remember who I had first butted heads with. I mean, I think it might have been Shane at Icebreakers at Texas that one time, where I think I wrecked off of him or something like that. But I was not very competent back then. I'm like hey, you wrecked me, but I wrecked myself off of him. I think Seth also ruffled my feathers too at the time. Yeah, him ruffling my feathers at a Phoenix race too. That was also pretty far back then as well. I mean, I can't really remember who exactly is the first person I butted heads with, though. I will say that much. But I just know like those are like some of the more earlier instances of me butting heads with people. Anyway.
Who would you say if you had to pick the person you butted heads with the most? Who would that be?
Oh boy. Um, in terms of like not like this is like more like racing respect. I would say Jack Merkel. Like
Okay.
him and I he would like literally always joke to me about certain things, and like some days he would kick my ass, some days I would kick his ass, and it would start a literal war between the two of us of like who would be better in certain areas and whatnot. And I wasn't just gonna let him have it, let him just go his own way with talking all that, and like absolutely not. I'm just gonna take it to him on the racetrack.
So he was your rival then. Not really so much butting heads with him, but he was your rival.
I mean, I guess you could say that now too. I mean, I'm pretty sure he might say the same thing really with me anyway. I mean, he would have a rivalry with either me or Dunn as of recently for him.
I think if I can remember back, obviously my episode with Merkel was a little while ago. I believe Merkel did say that if he were to pick a rival, it would either be me or you. It depends who shows up. And I think he mentioned
Yeah.
Dunn as well. I think it was you, me, and Dunn are his like three rivals on track.
Yeah. And that's just more like a friendly like butting heads really
Yeah,
anyway.
not like a negative butting heads.
I mean, I would say like the most recent negative butting heads with when I was racing at some other league. I don't remember what it was called, but I don't even remember who the guy's name is. Oh my goodness. No, I remember him. I know I remember him, but I just don't remember the name. But this guy was an absolute prick. Like he races, he's good, but he's an absolute prick, and he would just like literally like cause wrecks. If he wasn't gonna win, neither was you. Neither were you. For instance, he would like kamikaze into him, and of course he had his ass beat like multiple times by me, but he would just take me out like constantly. Like
Huh.
I was not a fan of this guy. I don't remember the name, and it's killing me that I don't remember him. I guess it's not really that worth remembering then, if I don't remember the name.
That's a good one. Yeah. Um. Here's another
I just
good
remember he
one.
was being an absolute prick, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's the next question?
The next question is, what is the dumbest thing you've ever done on track? Which usually translate to, have you ever intent wrecked anybody?
Uh, well, I wouldn't say it was dumb for intent wrecking people.
Oh,
You
come
know, it's
on.
just
It's usually dumb. It's usually dumb. But anyway, who was your first? Do you remember your first?
Oh no, actually, I don't remember. There was like a whole list of people I know
Let's just hear the names then. It
I
doesn't have to
intent
be in order.
Okay, well, I do remember intent wrecking that one guy I was trying to talk about earlier. That was like my most recent intent wreck. Man, who have I not intent wrecked? I guess at this point, I guess you could
It's
say it would be a
crazy.
better thing. Yeah, it's been such a long time. I think I might have done you once because I know you've done. I think you've done it to me once
I
at a
did it.
race. I think it was like FTF.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did it to you at FTF Auto Club. Yep.
when I was having the race of my life, and I
So
just
was
get like
I.
I was like, why
I
are you like why? I felt
I threw it
betrayed.
away. I threw my good run away too, and wrecked you in the process. Yeah, and I remember the funniest part about that, looking back, was Justin Malilla was like, "What would you call what you did there?" And I said, "Side drafting gone wrong," and he was like, "Nope, you turned right. You're done."
Well, I think I've done it with you. I think like once or twice. I don't know if you can recall that or not, but I think I might have done it with you once or twice.
I
I've done it
couldn't
with
tell
like
you.
other various people.
I couldn't tell you when or where it was, but I would like to say you're probably right that you probably did it to me once. I just don't remember when or where it was because it was probably a
I
really long time ago.
Yeah, it probably was, and I mean that's just like the thing too. Like I mean, I evolved so much when it comes to like especially with my temper. Obviously, I mean you were no saint either at the time, Zach.
Obviously
I mean
not. I still
you and I were
I
not.
still am not a saint. I still let people have it here and there, but
Oh yeah,
I'm more just that passive aggressive asshole now than just an asshole. But I do sound off sometimes.
yeah. I mean I don't do that sort of like stuff like anymore. Like at least I try not to now since I
Yeah.
actually have to try to set an example. Of course, being
An
a
example?
league
What's
owner and
that?
all now. Yeah,
What's an
I don't even
example?
know.
I don't know what
I
that
don't
is.
know. I don't know. Ask Dale Jr.
My example is winning half the races in a season at any given league. That's my example.
Yeah, I mean that's the example. Like how, like that was me. That was me in Maverick Cup Series last year,
Right.
and that was me. That was me wanting to punch Ben Snyder in the face
Oh, don't
because
do that.
that's a
Don't
whole
bring that up.
that's a whole
No, no.
that's a whole story too.
We don't need to get physical. We can just wreck them on the
Nah,
track.
yeah, but it was not like a physical punch in the face, but it was definitely more like of a mental punch in the face anyway. Because that's a whole story where
I vaguely remember what you're referencing. Yeah. We don't have to get
yeah
into that.
I won't get into it here. Let's just say we were trying to make the league more like racing intense and more like actual like have actual like competent drivers race in the series, and Ben didn't like it. And we had another third party member of the name that I will not mention here, of course. And like
Mm.
that's what kind of like tore it down. You probably know who I'm talking about, but
Oh, yes, I do.
I'm gonna leave the whole viewers know who I'm talking about. And if you don't know, it won't kill you.
His initials are just kidding.
Yes.
Um, what's a moment? Well, I guess we kind of answered that. The next question was, what's a moment between myself and yourself you can recall? But we just mentioned the intent wrecking. Any other
Well,
moments you can recall?
I remember the one race. I think it was Chatham Dirt. I had a decent lead over you, and the car randomly just spun out. I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me. I just ate before I came here.
You're fine.
um, it was a Chatham Dirt race. I don't
Yep.
remember what the league was.
I think it
It was
was
a Chatham Dirt
next gen.
race.
I think.
I think it might have been. I had a decent lead, and then I was driving the car the exact same way each and every lap, same brake inputs and all that, and all of a sudden the car just spun for no
Yep.
reason. It just spun for no reason. I was like, why the fuck did it just randomly spin me out for no reason? Like obviously the tires were cold. That's because you're on a dirt track, of course. So I was expecting that. But it just like I'm driving it the same way I've been doing it each time. My lap times were all similar. My lap times were just absolutely like I don't even remember what the lap times were, but they were like really like consistently in the same like within like the same like 2/10 anyway per each lap. So I'm like, there's no possible way. How the hell did I just spin out? And I just got super duper angry, and I was like the most angry I've been at a race in like a while because I was like running I think like a second a lap faster at that was normally running at that point. I was just so mad. I had one goal to chase you down at that
Mm.
point. I was like, there's just no way the car just randomly spun out. I just lost a race because of a random spin out.
Yeah. So I don't remember what set me back in that race. I do remember that you had the big lead and you spun. I know at the beginning of the race, I kept wrecking you in the S's. I think I wrecked you like
You
two or
did.
three times, and
Yeah, you definitely
you
did.
were like, what did I do to you?" And I was like, "Nothing. I just keep fucking up." And
I was like, what have I done to you? Did I piss you off somewhere?
I
I
think,
don't
yeah,
remember.
it was like two or three like spins, and it just like I had to stop and let you go because we were doing the gentleman rule, and then yeah, somehow you got a big lead. I don't know if I sped or if I just spun out at one point, or I think you were slightly better than me that night, but I don't remember like how I lost so much time. If it might have just been lap time, to be honest, but I feel like I might have just looped it slowly somewhere. But yeah, you got like you hit a weird bump or something in turn one, and that gave me what I needed to win. So
You're welcome, I guess. What can I say
yeah,
except
you're welcome, I guess. Yeah. Uh, is there a race win that means the most to you?
yeah, we actually have a few. I actually have a few, and I actually want to pull them up on my Facebook page because I do have my online wins stored.
Okay, good.
I guess you could say the first major win of my NR career was obviously the first win, but that was like I was kind of like handed that win to from Jess, so I kind of don't want to say anything about that. But I would say like the biggest first win I had was at the time when it was the SRA Indianapolis 500. That was back in I think it was 2017 that race was ran. Yeah, I have it here. 2017. That was my 20th win of my NR career, and it was against like the big guys in the NR community at the time. Like we're talking like huge. Like Derek Justice, David Schildhouse,
Oh, I know what race you're talking
all
about.
those. Yeah, that race where it was just a bunch of FTF competitors. I think I started like deep in the field too. I think I started
This
like
was
30th in that
the
race.
Sim Racing Association Indy 500.
Yes, where it was hosted by a different Zach Buchanan that does actual. You commentated that race, I think,
Yes, it
right?
was
I think you
me.
commentated that race.
It was me, Blake, and DJ. Blake did the play-by-play. DJ and I were the analysts. I think I had qualified in, but I got the offer to do the broadcast booth, so I was like, yeah, someone else can race. I think
And I
that's what
have the
happened.
I have the paint scheme with me because I was a huge F Zero fan, and I still am. I love F Zero. I literally had my whole number and my paint scheme be based on the Captain Falcon Blue Falcon in from F Zero, as because I know the Indy cars go super fast, and of course F Zero is meant to be a very fast like arcade racer game, like it's a futuristic racer game. So obviously you're gonna go like maybe like 1,000 kilometers per hour, and I'm not joking because that's how fast those cars go in F Zero. So I figured to mimic those speeds, I'd have the F Zero paint scheme there, and it ended up. I ended up finishing a lot higher than I thought I was going to finish with that. I was just hoping to have my car at least like seen on the grid. I got a lot more than what I thought I would get, and I ended up somehow getting the win.
Right.
I had a time that pass on. I think it was Schildhouse leading the race at the time. I had a time that passed correctly, like coming off of turn two. I remember. I remember exactly what I had to do. Like I went a little bit higher off of turn two, then cut back down low, and I had a little bit of a run. So I think I'm gonna go right underneath him, and I just freight trained him all the way to the back or whatnot. Then I think he wrecked afterwards.
Right. Any other wins there? More recent wins?
All right, more recent ones. Let's see.
That was
Uh,
2017, if you can believe it, all the way back then.
yeah, yeah, that was a long time ago. Um, let's see. I guess you could say I guess you could say like more of the more recent wins I've had was winning the championship in RTG. Like these guys are also very good at what they do. Like I just figured like I saw Seth do the broadcast for RTG anyway for one race. So I'm like, all right, maybe they'll finally let me in this time because there was a whole dispute of not letting me in, but yet letting another certain individual that almost made me quit NR. I would say to let in for a race, but of course he only wrote for one race and left. But they wouldn't let me in for like another 4 years until like until last year anyway, where I ran a few races. I only won 3 times, but I would say like the most memorable one, I guess, would be like my championship win, because like this feels like a coming of full circle moment for me to actually be able to like just show up anywhere and just win. Like I could actually get respect off of most of the people there, most of them. Obviously, there are some people that don't like my guts, and I really don't give a damn, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't make
But yeah,
everyone happy.
nope. And I've done trying with that. I only do that on league races where I have to officiate.
Yeah. Yeah, I was running RTG a bit last year on Mondays. You're talking about the Bare Bones League, I assume the Monday
Correct.
night one that you got the championship in. Yeah, I
Yes.
I made the finale there one season that I ran full time. Well, actually, I kind of came in late, but I was still eligible the way their system worked. Um,
Yes.
and I made the finale. It was a weird season where it was just one race instead of two because of the way the bye weeks had worked. And I remember we had just done our first green flag cycle of pit stops, and I came out and I had to check up behind someone and this was at Michigan, and the car just randomly started to get loose, and I'm chasing it, trying to catch it, and I saved it, but I saved it and had to go down pit road. So I remember they did stage points too and stuff, and I remember I'm like, so do points count for the final four? And they were like, yeah. And so after I didn't get a caution and they all got stage points and I didn't, I just quit. I was like, yep, there's no point in me keep continuing. Like I'm not gonna have a chance.
Yeah, that
So
was like the biggest thing.
I kind of don't like that they were counting points when it was one race. I feel like it should have just been straight up, but I ran there a little more the next season. But ultimately, Joven and I had randomly ran at Monday So Thunder one week, and I realized um, that I liked their CTS setups a lot more, or not just so much the setups, but the way they set the tracks up. Because RTG is typically low grip CTS every week, and the setups can be quite tight. Um, which I don't
Yeah,
mind a
they put
tight.
too much grip, I think.
I don't mind the tight setups here and there, but they can be quite bothersome after a while, I guess is a way to put it. Like they're just not fun when they're that tight.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, my
and
main
because
issue
it's
with RTG.
CTS, I'm just gonna have you wait a second so I can just finish my
Sorry, no,
point. You're
I know.
good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But so the thing with MOT is their Cup Series, as they call it. They'll run CTS at some tracks, and they'll also run Cup at some tracks. And now, while their setups might still just burn off the right front, the tracks have a decent amount of grip to them, and they still have that like 1 to 2 seconds to tire fall off. So it might get tight, but it's not like unbearably low grip tight like RTG races can be, because they have their grip tracks per se, but they're not like crazy gripped up. And then I would say also like some of the tracks like Indy and Michigan, it just turns into everyone stays in line and no one does anything the whole race. Like you do that at MOT, they run the multi groove tracks of Michigan and whatnot, and you've got 3-4 wide racing the whole run. Like no one's just sitting in line saving their tires. So like I guess like they got a good product, but I'm sorry to say this is kind of negative, but the races kind of got boring to me because they were all the same train, yada yada yada. And MOT, like they actually race aggressively, but not completely wreck each other up the whole time. So it's more fun at MOT, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll need to get like some of their tracks then if that's the case. I'll have to go see like what their I guess maybe their Kansas is, because I know for my series coming up, we're using Kansas SBP for one of the races this season. Of course, I already made a setup for it. I mean, I still felt like I had fall off, but then again, it's not CTS, it's GNS physics for that. I know my series now is going to be having CTS and GNS physics, but the only CTS physics that are not super speedways are Bristol and Indianapolis. And why Bristol? Well, I was racing in a Brazilian league race at the time for a like a preseason thing. I remember having a battle with Anthony McCurry at that track per se. Like he was on the bottom, or I think I was no, I was on the bottom. He was in the middle for about 20, 25 laps. We were side by side. We weren't able to get away from each other. It was like the best racing at Bristol I've ever had.
Yeah,
Like you
CTS
could never have
CTS is
that
fun at short tracks. Yep.
you can never have that at Bristol. Or at least I never seen it at Bristol anyway. Where you could go like side by side for more than like 5 laps. We did it for 20. I don't know how we managed to stick it to each other for that long, but it was awesome, and that's why I'm bringing it on my schedule. I just hope that people can keep it together as well for 150 laps. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm sure we can at least try.
Yeah, I feel like CTS is a lot of fun on like plate super speedways and then short tracks. Um, GNS, I've heard people. I haven't run GNS a lot really in the last 5 years, but I've heard people say GNS is a lot of fun on I think road courses. And then Cup is obviously great on like any intermediate or really anywhere except chassis one super speedways. So, um, each physics type has its good tracks and bad tracks, but yeah, I just don't like CTS at any track that like if the track is not set up to where you have to lift significantly in the corner, it turns it into a super speedway, and if you don't have help when you make your move to pass someone, you just don't pass them, and I think that's really just not fun. Like it's just
Me, it,
frustrating.
to me, it's just you might as well just run a super speedway series if you're gonna do that with CTS. You might as
Yeah.
well.
And I'm not saying this to like diss on RTG or anything like that. They're a great league. They got a great group of guys that they got there. But it's just not for me, man. And that's like the age old saying is, well, if you don't like it, go run somewhere else. Well, that's what I did. I just didn't
Yeah,
really care for it after a while, so I went and found a place that was more fun.
my main issue with RTG now is I was racing a few of the tracks where you couldn't pass at all.
Yep.
Like I was stuck behind Brian Schilling at New Hampshire for about
Oh,
25,
yeah,
maybe 30
that's
laps.
typical New Hampshire for you. It's hard to pass
You
if you
just
don't have clean air.
I mean, you couldn't even run the bottom either. You couldn't run the bottom. You had to run the middle. If you run the bottom, you're gonna slide. You're gonna slide up because there's literally no grip down there. It was
The like
awful.
regular bottom, like the first lane of banking, not the flat lane.
Like I would say, like the normal like bottom lane anyway, not like the middle lane that we have now, where I guess that's the considered new bottom lane. I don't know.
Because
Not like the apron.
there's the apron, there's a 2-degree lane, and then it goes to a 7-degree lane all the way up. So to me, the first 7-degree lane is like the could say per se middle, but then like if you're saying middle, I would say another lane higher than that.
Yeah, I guess you could call it the 2-degree lane, but there was no grip on there. Not like I felt the car like the front end is completely like either like not work or the rear end would also not work either. There was like hardly any grip on that particular lane for some reason.
Yeah, New Hampshire is very track position based track. Like if you can't get by somebody for the lead in like the first 4 or 5 laps, like you are not getting by them unless they make a mistake because the dirty air at New Hampshire adds like 10 degrees to the right front. 10, 15, 20 degrees. If it just gets increasingly tighter as the run goes on. So if you
And
and that of course that's also amplified if it's not a shift setup. Like if you can at least shift back and forth between third and fourth, like you can do a little something to save the right front. But if it's just a stock like one gear around the whole track, like forget it. Like you're not going anywhere.
I tried to shift down to third gear, and well, you can already see where this is going. I lose fourth gear, so I just stopped trying.
Yeah, that's another risk of it, the shift setups too, for sure.
I mean, like there was no shifting at all, but I had to try something to get myself a little bit more power. I had to try something because I wasn't just gonna sit there behind chilling all day long. There's just no way. And it was the same frustration I felt at Gateway too. And I felt like I thought I was slow at Gateway because I was like Gateway is one of my more better tracks. I don't understand why I'm so far off the pace. Then I got the track position like second place. I was like, why am I good all of a sudden? Like this didn't make any sense to me. Like how am I like 3 seconds off the lead when I'm like sixth, and I'm like not even like right on the leader's back bumper when I'm in second. I understand track position is a thing and all, but there's just something about that Gateway race too that I felt off.
Yeah,
You couldn't pass anybody there either.
Gateway. I remember running Gateway there last year. It was definitely tough to get by people. So I got to win that race though. I won Gateway. I won Infineon. Infineon was funny because I literally got flipped under yellow by, or not under yellow, but I got flipped. Had to call a tow, and then like since they froze the field under yellow, like I got towed back in time to where I didn't lose a lap. So I got like really lucky, and then I went through the field and won. And then I won another race somewhere. Oh, I won. They ran Chicago Street, and I won that because I had run it before. And then I ran one race the next season at the Glen and won the Glen race. I think those were the 4 races I won there. I might have won a fifth somewhere. I don't remember. But yeah, they're a good group of guys. They got some fun stuff. They got some stuff I don't care for. It's a mix. Um, so biggest championship, would it be the RTG one? Would it be the Maverick one, or would it be something else?
I think it might be something else. I know in terms of length, the Maverick Championship was pretty big, seeing how I won by at least like a full race length over Keith Hughes, because that was literally my only competition at the time. Um, what is the biggest championship for me? My goodness, I have so many now that I don't even know which one it is considered a big one. Well, I guess you could say. Do I want to count my own series anyway because I'm hosting it?
I would say that
I guess
depends. That depends on
I mean
car count to me and competition
yeah.
level.
Well, okay, by competition level, I would say RTG. By car count, it's Maverick, of course. So I guess you could say those two championships were very strong. But of course, even icebreakers too, like recently, and even the Winter Truck Series, there's a whole dispute about that too, with the Truck Series, the way that championship ended too. Having
Yeah.
competition with that, because I'll get into that story too in a little bit. But yeah, in terms of like competition, RTG was the biggest championship, I think, and that was like my most recent like of wins for NR. I was like I said, that's the most recent championship, of course. But in terms of like car count and all that stuff, in other roadblocks, like you could say, get in my way was the Maverick Championship, where I won I think like 9 or 10 races in that season last year.
Mm.
Back when I actually cared and wanted to try, so.
Yeah, when I think of championships that mean a lot to me, I think of the season 7 Icebreakers championship that was open setup, and then the season 9 IMRC Cup championship where I got a little lucky in the finale. Poteet blew up, RNG blow up, and then Joven got wrecked by a warping lap car. And then I just had to hold off Chris Wetz in a 2-lap shootout. So that one holds a lot to me. Recently, there is probably a couple championships that I would say equally matter, but they're just not really comparable to those two. I want to win this fast championship a little bit here at the end of this year. That one would mean a lot just because I pretty much showed up to all but one race this season. So that would mean a lot to me if I could get it done, especially since it's an elimination format, but we'll see.
We'll see. We're looking forward to hearing from that.
Yeah, Andrew Miller will be broadcasting those. Did you want to go into the winter truck story before I get to my next question?
Yeah, I do, and I wanted to go to a season where I would just start in the back each race because there's only like 12 cars per race, so it really doesn't matter that much in the Winter Truck Series. So literally, we had a big three. It was either myself, Dunn, or Jack that would go win almost every race of the season. We might have like somebody that wins like one race here and there, but if it was just it's just been us three the entire time. Literally, that's where our rivalry like comes from there between the three of us anyway. Um, so the finale was at Las Vegas, and everything was going great. I would say we were all running like really close to tail, but then disaster strikes. Disaster strikes where I randomly fell out of the server. And with that being said, I would be placed all but one lap down. So eventually, I guess we didn't know the race was going to go green because it was a timed race. It wasn't like your typical amount of laps. It was like a timed race anyway. You only have like 1 hour to go complete the race anyway. So it felt like a combination of like sports car racing and stock car racing at the same time. So it was pretty interesting. Um, then the race never went under caution. And then when I realized I was in the lead, like a major lead, I was like, what is happening? Like, did I just somehow like get myself into a huge lead for no reason at Las Vegas, even though essentially I had a free pit stop too, because at the time when I fell out, pit cycle was about to begin. So I guess you could say that was kind of lucky. But essentially, I literally had no competition for the rest of the race because everyone else was like so far behind, and I had a free pit stop, and I was leading the race by a good bit. Because even though I got all but one lap back, I had the timing of when I got back on the track too. It made me have like a 6-7 second lead for like the rest of the race, and I felt so bad about having to win a title like that because at that point we actually made a rule change for that. But a similar thing happened to me when I was running the Icebreaker season as well, where it was Dylan Poteet that fell out of the server too at our finale race at Atlanta. But then he got a free pit stop too, and he was able to finish, I think, third. I finished fourth that race. So, and I just didn't have enough points to catch him at that one. So that's why he won the championship, even though he fell out, and I won a championship for when he fell out. So, in my little rule book here, where I gotta go find it here real quick. Where is it? Where you would when you fall out of the server, you know, under green flag conditions, you'll have to wait until a yellow flag to get all your laps back. And of course, like once you're up to speed, when you rejoin the server, like when you cross the start finish line, your timing will resume. So if you fall a lap down trying to get back up to speed, that wouldn't be so fair. But when you get up to speed, like after you cross the start finish line, everything's fair game. So those are like the main changes that I think would be fine for Icebreakers this coming season for when you fall out of server. So we don't have something like this happen again.
Yeah, I would say I remember that race because I broadcasted it with Andrew. I would say you get all but it all depends on track length too, which is really hard to gauge in the moment. And like you said, it was dependent too on where you came out, because you came out basically right behind the leader and you were one lap down. If you were right in front of the leader, one lap down, borderline 2 laps down, then you probably, you don't have that advantage you ended up having. I think, you get like I said, it depends on the track size. The tire wear can factor in too. Because like if you're at Rockingham and you get put to 1 lap down, like you've got a huge advantage. Like you need to be 2 laps down because there's too much wear. I remember having that problem one year in my league. We ran Rockingham, and there was so much tire wear. Cosman had fallen out, and when he came back in, I put him the 1 down because that was the rule. And I remember Brandon Lawson was telling me no, like he needs to be 2 laps down. There's so much tire wear. And I think Cosman ended up winning the race by almost a lap because he should have been 2 down, not 1 lap down. So it's a tricky game. I think, like you said, yeah, that'll probably work. Like you come back in, and if there's a yellow, you get all your laps back, or you get back to 1 lap down. Like because if there's other people a lap down, you have to think about that too, because like then you have effectively 2 lucky dogs. I think add them all the way back to 1 lap down, and then if they're also the lucky dog, they get the lead lap. But if there's another car who's 1 lap down, like they would get all back to 1 down, and then they need another yellow to get lead lap, or they can take the wave. It's up to them because they did fall out and they have a tire difference. So there's ways to do it, but I think that's you've probably got a better thing than just add back to 1 lap down every time. Because like on a short track, you would want to do add back to 3 laps down. Like if you're at Bristol and you fall out and you come back 5 laps down, like you should only be added back to 3 laps down because you lose 2 or 3 laps on a green flag stop at Bristol. So each track is different.
Yeah, it's just a whole can of worms that we're just trying to fix.
Yeah.
Anyway, for the upcoming season, because I know other people do things differently when it comes to getting the laps back. Now we're trying to get away from the all but 1 lap, because usually I think at the time we would just expect everyone to have a caution. But now our skill levels have gotten better when it comes to like racing side by side with other people, that we just kind of expect a green flag run now.
Yeah. When you have the same 10 to 15 guys race against each other every week. Everyone picks up on how everyone else drives, so then you get increasingly better green flag racing. That's why I like racing with the same group of guys all the time, because unless they just like they get too loose and they self spin, like, you know, someone's probably not going to wreck you unless it's the end of the race when the intensity's up.
Oh, of course. Obviously, the intensity being the highest at the very end. Of course, you're not gonna give. You're gonna take.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's the funnest question that everyone gets to be asked. This is a four-part question. If you need any part repeated, let me know. You can answer this in any order. So the four-part question is: what is your favorite mod, favorite track, favorite league to race at, and your favorite physics type?
I would say the favorite mod. Well, it's a good one. I would say I guess my favorite mod per se to race on are probably. Uh, Wow, that's I'll come back to that one. I would say like the favorite track is obviously like a road course. I'm a road course ringer in a way, so I like to go race on like Watkins Glen or Sonoma or even like shorter tracks anyway. But I've gotten a lot better at the speedways to a point where I can just be a threat at that track no matter what now. The other two questions you said were
League and physics type.
physics type will be GNS. I love GNS. I think GNS has like the perfect balance between like not too much horsepower, but like not too much downforce either. I think it has the perfect like ratio of that sort of thing. So that's why I think GNS physics are like the best, and especially when it comes to like road course racing. As you said earlier, like GNS is like the best for road course racing in my opinion, as well. In terms of the favorite league to race on, well, I guess you could say just I guess any league in the NNSCRA really.
I
I
gotcha.
know I'm going to keep it close to home. I know, but
No, that's fair.
yeah. In terms of the mod though, I don't have a particular favorite. I really don't care for the next gen mod. Really,
Give me three. Just
obviously the biggest one I would say is the truck mod, the CWS 15 mod. I think that's like my favorite mod to race on. I
mm-hmm.
think it's just plus I like the race trucks. Trucks are fun as a whole. I think the DMR NXS 16 mod, I guess, is also
Oh
like my
yeah,
second favorite
that's a good
there.
one.
That was a very good mod. But I guess in terms of like I guess Cup Physics mod, I think the Cup '05 mod I think might be the best one. I'm not so sure.
Okay,
I really don't
interesting.
care for BR15.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, that's fine. Um, how many people have you met in real life from the community?
So obviously I'm now meeting essentially Seth every year, I would say at this point. But in terms of like actually who I met so far, well, obviously Seth. We have Matt McIntyre, we have Dylan Young. Of course, I'm on his YouTube channel quite often, sometimes as well. His We the Coasters channel. Of course, I promote Kyle Matthews is again the same thing. I met Jovan Anderson. He is a goober and a muffin head, as expected. Um, Crap. I don't want to miss anybody. I really don't want to miss anybody. I think I met Benjamin Franklin Miles as well. I think I met him. I met Anthony and his wife Autumn. I both met them, and I think I met Carson Gum as well. And I think that's everybody I met besides Zachary Stoltz a while back when I was at Daytona as well a few years ago. But I haven't seen or heard from him ever since that day. So I don't know sure what happened to him. But that's all the people I've actually met. I might have missed one or two, but I just haven't remembered. Oh, Danny Wells as well. I met him as well. I might have missed like one or two. Oh my god, I can't say it. I can't forget it either. Ulysses Sandoval too. How can I not remember his accent? What up, my Nick Guenther? He always says that. Um, it's kind of like a running joke now every time he comes into the building. Anyway, so um, yeah, so those are like I believe all the people I've met. They're all great people. They're all great people. I know I met like half of them at the Indy 500 that we went to earlier this year. So it was a quite a fun time.
Right on. Okay, so other interests. Moving away from NR 2003, what are some other things you're interested in? I know Pokemon is a big one. How'd you get into Pokemon?
I think I started playing Pokemon. I guess when I was like watching the anime. I guess at the time. I guess when it was like Ash Ketchum, like being his dumb self. I guess I think I got myself in Pokemon anyway. I think my first game was Pokemon Diamond before I got into Pokemon Platinum, where I played a hell of a lot more of that. I just I just love, I guess, the way the battling worked at the time, and I just loved the cute creatures, I guess, that were there at the time as well. I remember my first starter being Torterra, and I got to love like certain other Pokemon too, like Luxray. I was one of those guys. Yeah, the Luxray, the Staraptor, and of course another Pokemon I really liked was Gastrodon or Shellos too, because I always thought the Shellos was like the most cutest like little slug I've ever seen in my life. So I wanted to go grab that too. But it was awesome though. I've gotten to more like competitive Pokemon too. I think it was like 2012 when I was playing Pokemon Black 2, and I was at in Foxborough, Massachusetts. I was actually at the Patriot Stadium playing a Pokemon tournament. It was very big. It was a very big place. It was a very big event there for the regionals. It was just a regional championship, and it was just an unforgettable experience. I was actually I've been to Foxborough twice, 2012 and 2013. I've never been to a regional ever since, but it was a very packed day. We had to do a lot of double battling there. We had to do a whole lot of strategies. So it's not just like one Pokemon out at a time. You have to do two at a time. So you have to either support a bigger Pokemon that would do more damage, or just have both your attackers out, or have weather out conditions out there. It's kind of a mess. I don't want to get into it all because it's just a mess in itself. But I think like other interests, I guess you could say that I have is, obviously being technology. I work in the IT field. I'm trying to get myself into a new job pretty soon about that. And of course, other sports, I would say like tennis has been a big part of my life for a while. I used to play D3 tennis at my college before I graduated anyway. I wasn't very good, but I could tell you now, if I were to go back in time and just go play on their competitive team again, I think I would do a lot better.
Anything movie wise or TV shows that you're interested in? Music?
Well, I was interested in that one TV show called BattleBots anyway on Discovery, but unfortunately they have not been on TV ever since. I know
Mm.
they've been on YouTube, which I haven't been keeping up upon, but I really wish they came back to Discovery and just go at it again. I just want a new season. Bring it on, Discovery, damn it.
Yeah, I remember there was a show a long time ago that was on. I think Fox had it, and I enjoyed it, but I think if I were to look it up, I'm pretty sure the reviews and stuff were crap. The show was called Terra Firma, I think. It was like a futuristic show where like civilization traveled back in time to like the prehistoric age and stuff, and there were like dinosaurs and stuff like that. So it was cool to me because I was always a dinosaur like guy growing up. And then
RXD.
the like show ended on this like funny cliffhanger where they like randomly found like a Viking ship in the past, and they were like, how did this get here? Are there other portals? And boom, that was it, and the show never got renewed. So
Rep.
yeah, I thought it was interesting though. I don't know what the how the story would have developed past that. Maybe I should look it up randomly and watch it again just to see like, was this really as bad as it was? Like, because I was a teenager growing up, and I feel like as a teenager it was more of just like the cool factor that I was into. I didn't like follow the story too closely, so I would like to like binge it and see if I think the show sucks or not. But
Maybe they
yeah,
were right all along. I don't know.
yeah, maybe. That's all I've got here for today, Nick. So if you'd like to shout anybody out, the floor is yours.
Oh, of course, I know I'm doing my I gotta shout myself out. My MimNickyu 770 YouTube channel anyway. We're going to two different playthroughs right now. We're wrapping up the NASCAR Thunder 2000 playthrough as well as the NASCAR Dirt to Daytona playthrough. We're still working on that right now. We're in the truck series anyway for a Dirt to Daytona. It's such a fun thing anyway. So make sure you check those things out. I know NASCAR 25 has just been released. Don't worry, when I get it on PC, I will be recording it. So sit tight, please. I already been asked that a few questions about that already on DMs and stuff, so please just wait. And I guess I could just shout out to all the people in the NR community that's tolerated me for such a long time anyway. So obviously we're hoping to continue on with that for the relationship going forward.
Right on, Nick. Well, thanks for joining me for this episode of Who's That Driver. I've got a few ideas for the title for this one, and yeah, we'll see what it ends up being. Obviously, everyone who has just listened to the episode already knows. Thanks to everyone who listens. I know our view counts kind of come and go, and it's all about when people have time to listen, of course. So I appreciate everyone who gets to listen when they have time to listen. And hopefully a good group of Nick and I's friends enjoy listening to this one. So once again, thank you, Nick. And I'll see y'all for the next one. Next
Oh,
episode will be
hold
episode
on 1 second.
25. Go ahead, Nick.
I forgot. I did meet one more person. I'm sorry. I did meet one more person. I just remembered it now. It was Michael. Michael Norman. I did.
Okay.
I hate when I remember these things. Like such like when it's like about to go off the air. Like why do I keep remembering these things? Like all of a sudden at the very end. I hate my brain. Yeah, I did meet him as well.
Yeah. All good, man. You remember it when you remember it, and sometimes you don't remember it, and stuff doesn't get talked about. But yeah, it's just the way it goes. You would think, oh yeah, we got 90 minutes, that we'll have plenty of time to talk about this, and that, and then you start talking about other stuff that you weren't expecting to talk about, and boom, your 90 minutes are up. So that's just the way it goes. But yep, next episode is episode 25. I'm going to try to beg and plead to get a certain person on for that one because it's a milestone episode. And I want someone who I've known for a while to be that episode. It was a pain in the ass to get him to just do a podcast with somebody else last year. So I'm hoping maybe I'll have better luck, but I probably will just have worse luck. But we're going to try to get him. And if we don't, we'll figure out who to get. But I want episode 25 to be cool and special. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's it for me. Thanks again to Nick for joining me. This was episode 24 of Who's That Driver?